depending on your team and what your bread and butter is, maybe it makes sense to use open source because you'll have control over that thing. And where it's not your bread and butter, where it's totally okay to have another solution do that for you, maybe that's where you go commercial. If you make the wrong choice sometimes, the money that you spend, let's say you select a commercial solution and it does about 80% of the things you need to do. Well, in order to integrate the extra 20%, that actually is more expensive and takes more time, and all of a sudden you're over budget and you pick something that didn't necessarily work. So I think also think about your team, what your expertise is, where you want to actually spend your time, and help that make the decision. And I think that can help you decide how much money you're actually going to be spending on these solutions.
And I think Yuri actually said that earlier too. He was like, ask yourself, is this your core expertise? And maybe Steve, maybe you can add to this. I mean, when you were a Zencoder, I can't imagine Zencoder being built on a bunch of harmonic or elemental boxes, right? I mean, your core business was transcoding.
To address, the question of when you use open source, is it actually saving money? Yes, I would say when it works, that's not the whole point, but that's a big part of it, right? When it works, right? And it then becomes this kind of gray area where you're evaluating if it's not going to work, how much effort am I going to end up putting into it? And that's hard. That's hard to figure out exactly. So but I think about all these you have all these Node.js modules out there that just do little things, right? And we've had tons of projects where it's you're looking for one small thing to do, and it's going to take you say something small, 4 hours to write it, but because there's something out there that just does something clean, easy, you can just drop it in and never think about it again. I think iteratively, those small projects ultimately add up to saving a ton of time, a ton of money. It gets more challenging when you get into the bigger projects that are trying to do a lot of things, and do they do everything that you need?
And that is the basis behind a lot of C programming, right? It's all library, it's all modules. You just drop it in. I don't have to program that. Somebody already did it.